You are live.
Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 7:07 p.m. on Thursday, June 16th, 2022. I'm going to do roll call. Is Debbie Yasik here?
Aye. Yes.
Right. Is member Eileen Leahy here?
Here.
Wonderful. And myself, Keanu Smith Brown, as chair, is also here. Thank you. Do we have any comments that have been submitted for today?
Actually, beforehand, I'd like to submit a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. And my motion is to add under old business or add a section on old business to include follow-up to the questions that were discussed at the April 2022 meeting.
Okay. And so would we like to do that after discussion or before discussion?
Well, I was thinking it's old business, so you would do it first. Is that correct, Regina?
Typically, when you add something to the agenda, it's the last item on the agenda. You have to go through your record.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so the motion then is to add the previous discussion from last meeting after our discussion on campaign fund reports. The motion is coming from member Eileen Leahy. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, of course, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, aye. I will support that motion. That is, so we will be talking about that after discussion on campaign fund reports, which are due on July 1st. Okay. Is there a motion to approve our minutes? I'm sure everyone has taken some time to look at our minutes. I know I have. But is there a motion to approve of these minutes?
Well, I have a change or an addition.
Okay.
So under new business, I would like to make note that we did have a discussion on information related to the 2021 general election turnout report.
Yes, Madam City Clerk.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just say that that wasn't added to the agenda at the last meeting, but all discussion is on your video. You didn't actually act on it, so it's just part of discussion. It's not supposed to be in the minutes.
Okay, even though we didn't act on the discussion that was previous?
That is correct. It was just discussion broadly. It was, if you wanted it to be in the minutes, you should have done, we needed to do what you just did. Added it to the, amend the agenda to add it, and then we could say it was discussed and it will be in the minutes. So. Okay.
So at least today we'll be able to have in the minutes. So if there's anything that you want to possibly have added for this, from this meeting to be in our minutes, then make note of it today. Say it today.
Yeah, so let me just say for clarity purposes, since this is a new board and Eileen is the only member who's presently been on the committee, we wanted to start training everybody the way there's a city way of doing minutes. That's why.
Right. Right. I understand their action minutes. However, I don't understand why we included discussion in that one item under new business. The board discussed revising the code and charter sections, but we didn't add the other. And you're saying it's because it wasn't on the agenda.
Right, because that topic discussion of the revising the board, that was on the last agenda.
Yep.
Okay. I respectfully am confused as to why we are not including something that was discussed in a meeting and why we are not including it on minutes, but I'll pass.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Then is there a motion then to approve of these minutes?
I motion to approve the April minutes, April 21st minutes.
Wonderful. It's from April 19th is what this says.
April 21.
Okay.
April 20.
Yeah, it says here April 21.
Oh, May.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a second to that? Oh, yes, madam.
The May minutes.
There should be the May 19th. I sent you to.
Yeah, the May 19th minutes.
May 19th.
Okay. Great. Okay, so there's a motion to approve of the May 19th minutes. Is there a second to that motion?
You can second.
Okay, I will second that. All in favor of that, of passing our minutes from the April 19th.
May 19th.
May 19th, yes, the May 19th meeting, that's the May, okay. I will say yes to that.
And I abstain.
Okay, that is 2 and 1 abstention, great.
Okay, let me just can I just say something? You
Mhm.
just
Yes.
did a voice vote to approve the minutes. So the minutes are approved. The
Right.
abstention is only if you're doing a roll call.
Okay,
It will
Okay.
say yeses and abstain, okay?
okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. So it's on to our discussion on the proposed resolution RXX 2022, a task force to study the city municipal election laws and make recommendations, if needed, to improve the city code, structure, and procedures for city municipal elections. Okay, let's get it going. So, do we need to read over this for those who may be listening, or should we just go dive in and start talking about any points that you all felt that you'd like to talk about? Because as I've reviewed it, at least, I actually do love this legislation thus far. I think there's a couple points we can maybe shift or so. At least this resolution, I do like it thus far, and I appreciate the office for doing this and providing us this copy. But was there any concerns that anyone may have had or any points? Because I know that we'll have to fill in the blanks under whereas the city council believes that these issues and concerns deserve additional attention and consideration, which issues and concerns include but are not limited to the following. So we will discuss which points would go there. So we should probably discuss that tonight. We would like to have the office to update this resolution. Is that so, or are we leaving it as is and then agreeing on it to then move forward and find our support from our council persons?
Well, I think we have to insert, I mean,
Wonderful.
Ashley can tell us more closely. I do have some questions in regards to the second page. I mean, the first page, if you want to put some goals in, I apologize. I drafted some goals.
Yes.
But they didn't necessarily get distributed. But if you want to put goals in, I had review and evaluate the City of Annapolis Charter and Code related to elections, investigate options and best practices, make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors of Elections and City Council for changes to the existing municipal election law. The task force will be comprised of a geographically and politically diverse group of persons with experience and/or expertise in election administration. The application process will be comprehensive and transparent. Meetings will be open and accessible to the general public. So I don't know if that, Ashley, does that work? Is that consistent with what you would put under there?
I'd probably break some pieces out, like,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah, the open to the public piece, I'd probably put a little lower down where we talk about complying with the Open Meetings Act.
Mhm.
The diversity composition of the members, I'd probably put in the member section. And then the other things could go under the goals.
Right. But yeah, I wasn't sure where, that was just my little blurb. Do we need to put anything in there?
No, some task force are really broadly written and give the task force sort of, a more general scope, and some give, sorry, background kid noise. And some give very detailed. It just depends what you're looking for as an end result.
Okay. So as I was looking at the legislation that they did, the one that I've shared with everyone from Tacoma Park, what they focused on was the right to vote, which I'm not certain if this resolution, if it would be our final resolution, not to create the task force, but the right to vote. And they centered, for those who may be incarcerated, ensuring that they have the right to vote. Are these some issues or concerns that we want our task force to look into when we list them out, such as we talked about the open primary, the ranked choice, so looking into shifting how our elections work in the city. We talked about, I know I've heard and talked about and shared about automatic voter registration. I know I've talked about and shared non-citizen voting. I know I've talked about and shared lowering the voter age. Are these the issues and concerns that we would be putting in the bullet points?
Well, I think keeping it broad, I think these are the things that's what the task force is going, unless we're not agreeing that the entire code needs to be looked at, then anything is possible to be looked at and included. I personally like to keep things broad.
Same. And that's why what the purpose of us listing it, though, it's not limited to this. Shows our focus as a a board, and I would say it gives.
Right. But the purpose of
gives
this
them
resolution
elements.
is just to create the task force.
Mm.
And then the task force can certainly come up with some more specific things as far as maybe looking at priorities.
Debbie, did you have any thoughts or concerns?
I did the CRC, did the Charter Review Commission discuss any of those items that Keanu just mentioned, Eileen?
Well, again, it was
Voter age.
broad. So, I mean, it's included in there that they did include findings and recommendations, and there were some in there. But again, I think that one of the things we need to be open about is that there might be other things going on. And, you know, sometimes other things take priority, and with time constraints. So I would hate to say we're going to look at X, Y, and Z when we find out that A, B, and C are the things that really need to be done first.
Right. So that's what. Go
You
ahead.
know, I'd hate to start listing things that we don't get to. And again, I think this is really just a resolution to establish the task force, not to completely tell the task force what they're going to do,
Right.
other than
And I mean,
reviewing.
I want to respect, I know the Charter Review Commission reviewed things other than just election code, right?
Right. They reviewed the charter. They didn't look at code. They just looked
Yeah.
at the charter. So this is going to be looking at the charter. I mean, it's going to consider what the Charter Revision Commission did and also look at code.
Yeah.
So the entire code needs to be looked at. And again, that's why I included things like investigate options and best practices. And so in my mind, that's the kind of thing that might not be in code now, such as looking at changing primary dates, considering other groups that may be considered in there. And again, the number one thing that first needs to be discussed is whether you're going to do partisan or nonpartisan, because that's, so again, I tend to look at this as just let's establish the task force and then let the task force start looking at what they're going to address. But I would certainly expect them to include a number of the things that we all have been discussing.
Yeah, because I don't want to repeat or duplicate what the CRC just did. I mean, those 9 people for 6 months or whatever, you know, did the charter. And now I know this is code, but I just don't want to repeat or rehash. I want to move forward with what the CRC gave us.
Right. I think the task force will have the ability to move faster than the Charter Commission.
Okay.
Now, has anything like this been done before where we've had an election law? Maybe you were on, Eileen, have you, anything in the past where we've revised or looked over our election process or how we can shift elections in the Senate?
There was an ad hoc committee in 2013, which I think is what Ashley used as a basis for drafting this. And that, again, I don't recall the exact thing, but again, I would encourage us to keep things broad.
So,
Sir,
oh yeah, Ashley.
Ashley?
Yeah, so that task force was, I think it was 9 or 10, maybe more members on it. And they were tasked more specifically with dealing with issues that arose during the 2013 election.
Mhm.
So that many members was a little unwieldy because I had to staff it. So I have had personal experience with it. And the other thing is they didn't really look at like broad forward-looking goals or even looking at how to change the code. They were really more preoccupied with what went wrong in the 2000 election and what could be fixed related to those specifics, which had to deal a lot with
It had to do with the canvas and things like that.
Yeah,
and
the canvas and the different types of ballots, the absentees and what's the other type? I'm drawing a blank. Provisional. Thank you. Yes, it had to do more with, it focused more on that sort of thing.
Right. But many of the things, I mean, it took a year for that report. I was on that ad hoc committee. It was too large. And it went on too long. And the only code change that came out of it was we changed the date of how long people could apply for absentee ballots. But much of what was discussed or the concerns were taken care of when we shifted and went to using the county board of elections. So many of the issues that happened in 2013 were taken care of by just having the administration of the election go to the county as opposed to keeping it in-house.
Okay. So I would say, and I know you mentioned keeping it broad. I wouldn't say if we listed concerns or issues to focus on, if even we listed maybe 3
And
or
I would
5.
list, the list would
that-
be about 25 things. If you want to start listing.
It would be. No, we have a lot of things. So, but just
Okay.
since we're going to be because we're going to be ex officio members, as according to this,
Well, I'd like
and
to,
there will be non-voting members.
Well,
We should
can
at
I-
least give, even before that meeting, give some direction to what this task force will be
And-
focused on.
absolutely, I agree with that. I just don't see it as in the resolution. I see the resolution as just asking the council to create a task force. If we can move on, I mean, since you brought up about the ex officio, this is a question for Ashley and Regina. If we can be ex officios, because if there's 2 of us going to a meeting, it's a board meeting. And I think when it was first discussed, there was talk about having a liaison between the task force and the board of elections. So everything would come to the board of elections, but there would be one person being the liaison between the 2. Oh,
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I didn't, you have to recognize me, say, Regina. Basically, I agree with what Eileen just said. You really shouldn't have 2 members of your board participate in this task force. You should just have 1 member assigned to it, and then they can come back and report to you.
Now, okay. Now,
She was
is
correct.
there
form.
right? So that's right. So there is no way that we can all join or be a part of those meetings.
Right. You can watch it after the fact, or all of the meetings will be live streamed like this, so you will, or in some type of electronic format, so you can watch it. But as for reporting back, you should have 1 member that will follow it from beginning to end. And that can't be you because you're the chair of this Board of Supervisors of Elections. So while that member is following the task force, you need to still run your meeting because we're still going to have other business.
right. And I'd also, if we're on that, is it okay to proceed, Keanu, with some other items on the makeup of it?
Yes, absolutely. That's this discussion.
Okay. I'm trying to phrase it. I think one of the important things about putting this task force together is that it really has people that have expertise, and also that it be a multi-partisan group and a diverse group. So I would defer or prefer that we not say any central committee name a member, because that kind of sets us up for being partisan, because we're not, then you got 3 people that you got to get independent. I don't know. I would prefer that all 5 members, I would propose that all 5 members go through a transparent application process. Now, the central committees could certainly encourage people and say, hey, we'd like for you to apply. But I am a little hesitant that in putting together a task force that wants to try to be nonpartisan isn't quite the same thing, but multi-partisan, we're kind of giving more weight to the 2 majority partisan organizations as opposed to independents and some of the other ones. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
All 5. What are your thoughts, Debbie?
Yeah. So if there's 5 members, and there's a interview process, who would be the ones choosing? The city council?
Well, it says here that we can solicit volunteers. So Could we
But-
be a part of that process to select the members on the task force? Because it says we would solicit volunteers. So I guess we would just present those 3 members to the city council when it said that we should solicit volunteers.
I mean, at some point, we need to know. I mean, unfortunately, I'm with you, Eileen. I would just like to work for the betterment of the city and not be bogged down. But I mean, I would need to make sure there's, some conservative or Republican thoughts on this task force. It could easily be all Democrat with no independents or unaffiliated or Republicans.
Well, that's why I put in that it would be multi-partisan or diverse political makeup.
Yeah.
This might be a question
have
again
Green
for
Party.
Regina.
Yeah.
I believe that boards and commissions go through Hillary.
Ashley, is Ashley, do you have your hand up?
I do.
Yes, hey.
Okay, so first things first, I would not have city council appoint the people, because if you want this to get done anytime soon, it's not gonna happen, especially because they go into recess in August and they disappear.
Yeah.
So I would structure the resolution so that you guys or the city clerk or some combination receive the transparent applications and you guys make the decision, or at least somebody at a staff level. And city council would take very long, and at this point of the year, you could be talking about like September or October before they would get it pulled together. And I don't know if you want to, or it actually would probably be even later than that, because you have to get this resolution through, and then I wouldn't do it that way.
And-
as to your question about Hillary, she does handle the named boards and commissions, but she doesn't always handle the task force or the sort of ad hoc. You could ask her if she could assist with it, but it's not within her normal realm of duties.
And
Thank you.
I also wanted to say that if you ask the city council members to pick, it kind of gets a little bit difficult, because we have 9 members on the city council. So who gets to decide? If everybody doesn't get to pick one, it's kind of not fair,
Yeah.
So it's better if you guys figure that part out.
I love that. And I think, Debbie, to your point, what it would offer too is your voice. It would offer you to be a part of that process. So you say conservative Republican view, you could be a part of the selection of our members, whether it be 5 members, including our liaison, which we would agree upon. And then also to the point of the Democratic Republican, I agreed to that mainly as I was thinking about this. We have other parties such as the Green Party and many other parties. So if we were to do that, we would have to get membership from all the different parties to be fair. But yes.
Right. Well, just to clarify, it would be 5 people plus the liaison
Yes. 5
who
plus
is
3.
non-voting.
No.
So we could, if we just put in a transparent process in coordination with the city clerk's office or the boards and commissions, I mean, we're not going to be receiving them directly.
Right.
And also, I guess my next question is would we pick these people in an open meeting, or is this something that would go into a closed meeting? I mean, discussion about people.
To tell you the truth, I don't know the answer to that question, but I could reach out to maybe the city manager, and Ashley, and figure out who decides that, because I don't think I should be choosing or receiving applications. I want to be completely neutral. I don't want, and I know a lot of people in Annapolis, and I'm related to a lot of people in Annapolis, so I don't think that would be a good position for me.
Which might be a reason to utilize Hillary in her capacity, because she's done a lot of, if that's appropriate for her to help us with that.
Yeah, we could ask, that could be a question for the city manager to ask if he could assign her.
Yeah.
And then
Or
also,
technically, it might be the mayor's chief of staff. I'm not sure. Regina, it might be Kate
It might
who would
be
assign
Kate.
her.
And then, I mean, again, do we have to outline the process for this resolution, or do we just have to say it will be selected by us?
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Can we can Ashley and I have an opportunity to speak with Kate
Yes.
just to see how, and maybe Hillary together, just to see how this typically works and report back to you?
Sure.
Because I honestly don't know the answer unless Ashley has something better. I don't know what the answer to that question is.
Generally, I do kind of know. Generally,
Okay.
what happens is people either volunteer or are put up by other people, much like you guys. And then Hillary collects all those, and then she gives them to the mayor. The mayor makes an initial decision on all of it. And then because you're an official boarding commission, then council blesses the mayor's decision.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't generally do that type of process with task force.
So
Generally-
they would come to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
And so would we, for the application process for sharing the information to sign up, for people to sign up or be a part of this, would there be a full city push, such as, press release, hey, we are looking, how would that process go for getting the volunteers? Would we be, posting it on social? How does that process go for getting the members?
you'd work through the city's public information officer, Mitchell Stevenson.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I think we just clarified everything. So we're not going to be so the beauty of this, especially when we speak with the volunteers, the people that would be offering to be a part of this, we will share our thoughts and feelings, and with our liaison, we would trust that person to go back and share, the priorities of this task force. So if we don't want to label any issues or concerns specifically, that could be fine. But I do believe, especially if we're going to be giving the powers to this task force to really help us shift our election law, then we should give some type of information to them. So, and I'm not sure, Debbie, how you feel about that, or if, or Eileen,
No,
how you feel about
I think for people to be interested in volunteering, they're going to need some idea of what they're supposed to be volunteering for. Like what's expected of them, how long is it going to take, how big of a lift is it going to be, and I mean, it's crucial, like I think Eileen has alluded to, it's crucial we find experienced, thoughtful, educated people on this, because I mean, it could get emotional, and we need it to be, the best thing for the city, into the future, and to make it professional and make it count and make it stand up over time. So there might need to be some parameters. I mean, maybe not in just getting the resolution passed. If this resolution is just going to go to the council and establish the task force, but once we get past that, once we get to actually seeking volunteers, I think we need to have a more definitive scope of work.
And I think that could be done through the application process. So to what Eileen was saying as well, let's just get, and I agree completely, let's just update those pieces we talked about the membership, about us having that liaison, or at least having one existing member of the Board of Supervisors of Elections be an ex officio non-voting member of the task force. And then we just will leave that part to what you were saying, Ashley. We can leave that part blank about the issues and concerns, but we must, in our application process, make sure that we choose people who will have that vision of the issues we talked about, the 25 plus issues that we've talked about. Eileen, your hand is still up. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I still had a question.
Okay, beautiful.
So I'm moving forward again. Do we need Ashley and Regina to include how long the task force? I think there had been talk about making it 6 months from its first meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you need a
Yeah.
deadline. You
Yeah.
need a deadline.
Not later than 6 months from
the first meeting.
From the first meeting. So that will be in number 5.
Yes,
Right.
number 5.
And
no.
then
6
Do
months
we-
from the
are
date
we-
of the first meeting.
Can we add to this resolution that monies will be made available to us if we want to have like a consultant or have other people, or that we have some monies available to us? I think that was in the charter review task force. Or no?
Yes.
If we
You
add
don't
money,
need it
then
in
it
there?
technically would be more than 5 members then. If we have
No,
a
but-
consult, right?
Well, they don't get it. I mean, you can bring people in. I mean, the idea also here is you don't have to keep it just to city residents either, because it's a task force. But if we want to get somebody like the municipal league, someone from them to come into a task force meeting and give a presentation. If they don't think we need, if you all don't think we need to add that in there, I don't feel that strongly about it. I just want to put out there that, this task force might have people, using looking at expertise.
Well, that's the point of us choosing the members that have the expertise. I just don't want to, I'm not certain if the council will be, of course, the mayor would support it, and the council would, but
All right.
how they feel about money's
And
being.
don't worry about it.
given
I'm not gonna worry about it. But yeah, I do think that this task force is probably gonna want to get people from the municipal league.
I
And
agree.
get people in that can say, hey, this is what's new. This is what state law says you can do. In addition to people that are involved in the election, the election process. So
Now, do they charge at the municipal? Is that
I
is
don't,
that
I
why you're
don't
saying
know.
that?
I
Yeah,
don't
they
know. I'm
should
just
charge them.
saying, my understanding was in a past one, it was included. If it's not, skip it. It's making, I'm
Yeah,
sure if we wanted, if we needed it, we could find it.
yeah.
Hey, Debbie, you had a question?
Yeah,
Debbie?
Yeah, if we're members, if the city is a member of MML, then we have, and we have the ability to use their resources. And I've never known them to charge when we've reached out to them before. When I was with Bowie, or I think Ellen Moyer, I think the city has as well. Are we members, Regina?
Yes, we are.
Excuse me a second. I have to say goodnight to somebody.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, sweetheart.
Say
Is it
goodnight.
bedtime? Good night.
We learned about it
Bye.
yesterday.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Ashley, where's Zach and Max?
I know.
Good night, honey.
I have them distracted, and they're jumping off my bed in Buzz Lightyear pajamas.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay.
So,
Oh, good, great. I was ready to say, I know that's blank of number 4, so that's what we would have to fill in once Regina and Ashley speak with the others about the department. I take it that's what we will fill in that blank there, number 4. And then number 5, do we want to talk about, let's think about what date we would want to do. So realistically speaking, when could we, just thinking about it, when could we get this task force through the council and for it to start?
Well, basically, if we get the logistics together, we only have 2. Well, we only have 2 more meetings before they recess
Right.
in July. So it would be
Okay.
great if you could get them out, get this through the city council in July, and then try to get the members in August so they can start in September. That might be a goal.
Right.
Yes, okay.
But again, if
So-
we leave it open and just say for number 5,
Just leave it open.
6 months from first meeting.
6 months from first meeting. Is that a motion?
Yeah, is there a motion to update section 5 and under and be it further resolved by the Annapolis City Council that to include that it would be 6 months from the first meeting instead of the Board of Supervisors no later than blank 2022, at which the time the task force shall ... So is there a second to that motion? First made by a member Eileen. Okay, second is Debbie, a member Debbie. Okay, we can do a roll call here. Is there City Madam
say-
Clerk, do you do the roll call? Or
Just say all in favor.
All in favor?
okay, all in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
All right,
So-
since you've done that, do we need to go through each one of these,
Each one, yeah.
Regina, or can this all be kind of put together and then we can share it? And can we make can I make a motion to approve the resolution as we've discussed tonight, and final review will be via email
Indeed.
once we see it in its entirety?
That's an Ashley
Yes.
question, because
Yes,
I don't think it
Ashley.
can be approved via email. That's a
Yes,
meeting.
right.
No, what you would do is you would make a motion to adopt all the changes you want to make night, and then give authority to me or Regina to finalize it.
All right.
And we would send out you a final copy, but that's
Yeah,
essentially how it would go.
I mean, if possible,
But if
I'd
you
like,
guys,
I'm sorry.
and hopefully Regina's taking really good notes. I'm trying to take notes, but it's keep getting distracted.
Uh-huh.
I have some too. I guess I would like to see it in its entirety so that we're all kind of on the same page, since we've had a lot of different thoughts. And
So is it your intention for us to work on the resolution and give it back to you so you can vote on it in the meeting, in the next meeting for July? And then
That's the case.
it could go on the agenda if you find a sponsor for the last meeting of July, but it wouldn't be adopted by the council until September.
right, but
Right.
could we do what Ashley just said, is that we could review it and then give the authority to go forward, or could we just have a quick meeting to approve it?
I mean, you could have a special
Meeting. Right.
meeting, 15-minute meeting at some point.
Okay.
Up
Well,
to-
is there a motion? Then is there a motion to, one, take all of our feedback and discussion for Ashley and our Madam Clerk to update this resolution, then to have the authority to update it and give it back to us, but for us to then have a meeting before the July City Council meeting for us to review it and finalize it so that we can find us our sponsor to put it forth at the July meeting.
Well, we don't need to do both. We do one
don't
or
need
the
to do-
other. I think you said
So-
review and then ask for authority.
So we
Yeah,
have to.
I
give them
don't need authority. If you guys are going to review it again, then all I'm going to be doing is updating it. The authority would be if you didn't want
if we
to
don't, yeah.
meet again, then you would defer to my final discretion.
Right. You do
Well,
one or
Eileen,
the
then-
other.
Okay, well, based off what Eileen has shared, I believe then that the motion you're saying, Eileen, is that we're going to allow for
Well,
for the
I haven't
Yes.
made a motion.
yes, but
So
yeah, you're alluding to the motion. So
The motion
please.
I would make, my motion would be that we put our discussion into a final draft for us to review, and that we have a special meeting to review and finalize before the July meeting. We could have a meeting next week, like a 15-minute meeting. I think it's worthwhile for us to look at it, have some discussion, and have it out there so that other people can look at it.
Yes. Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second,
Okay, so there's a second to the motion. All in favor of the motion to have this revised and updated based off of today's discussion, then given back to us for us to have a meeting before the July City Council meeting. So all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes.
So,
Wonderful. Oh, this is
Regina, when would we need to have it in to get to the council?
Okay, well, basically, we're having a meeting on Monday, so Monday the 27th.
Mhm.
So if you can have your meeting sometime during the last week of June, that would be fine to make the first meeting of July 11th. But you still need to get a sponsor.
Right.
Right, but that's not going to be it. I don't think that'll
Yeah,
be
'cause
it.
the mayor would be the sponsor if you reached out to him.
Right.
Well, and didn't Alderman Savage indicated some interest?
Yes, and he did say he wanted to review this before and
Right.
maybe make some additions prior to, if you
Right,
wanted.
that's
him
what
to.
I'm thinking.
Well,
So,
no.
I mean, I'll have some time to also assist with draft, and I've been taking notes and
Mhm.
don't mind looking at the video again. Do we want to try to do something like the 22nd?
I was looking at her calendar. That would be before, she said, I believe you said after the 27th.
27th.
Yeah, you said after 20.
We can't do
So-
it. We can't get it on the 27th agenda.
We just finished with the budget and there's nobody on my side of the office that can sit in for this meeting. I'm actually on vacation.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
yes,
that
you need
answers
that time.
that.
Take that time. No, we don't need to worry about that. After 27, does Thursday the 30th work for everybody? Since it's a Thursday and usually we have a meeting.
It worked for me.
I can do that.
Let's see.
How about you, Debbie?
I think so. Let's see, Thursday.
Thursday, June 30th.
30th.
And did you guys have a time in mind? Because we do have to notify the TV production guys to see if they're available.
I mean, I'm available during the day too, either day or evening.
Are you two available at any time during the day?
I am.
Yeah, I could do it at like 3 or 4. Is that what you mean by the day?
Or earlier?
Yeah, daytime is fine with me.
After 2 is best. So I'm available. I can do it at any time, anytime after 2, like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Is that all right with you, Regine?
We are good with that.
Okay, 2:30,
Okay.
Mark?
2:30 is fine.
2:30.
Okay.
30th, great.
Now, do we have to move that or are we just setting it?
You can make a motion to have a special meeting on Thursday, June 30th at 2:30 p.m. to review the resolution for your task force.
Okay, great. Is there a motion to add a special meeting on June 30th at 2:30 p.m. for us to have a final review of the updates provided after tonight's meeting?
Okay, I move to have a special meeting on June 30th at 2:30 p.m.
Mhm.
Via Zoom to review the final draft of the resolution.
Fantastic. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of that, please say aye.
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 Aye. Great. Okay, it's on the books, y'all. We're doing it. So, and I'm sure an invite will be sent for it, so look out for that. So we're finished with the discussion on the proposed resolution RXX 2022. Is there any other conversation on that? I think we're moving forward. So we're going to go to the discussion on campaign fund reports due on July. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, I wanted to speak after you make your.
Oh, yes, due on July 1st, 2022. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the campaign fund reports will be, they're due to be in the office by close of business on July 1st, 2022. And I spoke with the city attorney about who's supposed to audit the reports, but he did reflect that the board stated that they were going to be auditing the report. So I had to bring that up to you tonight so you guys can discuss and we can figure out how we're going forward with that motion that the previous board made. So Eileen, you're up.
Well, the board has been reviewing it, but the board's also been reviewing it with the assistance of an election assistant in the
Yeah.
last go round. So there had been the request to continue that moving into the future.
Mike said that if that was fine during the election because we had a lot of reports, but with this being once a year, that he would want to look into hiring a contractor to take care of it. And he asked me to speak to Karen Steele about making that happen.
Well, the contractor could be the person that we've used before. No, I mean, I think the point's well taken. It's one, and I'm willing to review it.
Yes,
I mean, the problem we've had with contractors in the past is it typically goes to an accountant, and an accountant is going to check the numbers, but they're not going to check the code.
Well, you can have guidelines as to what you are requesting that you need done, and then we would find someone that could take care of it.
Yeah, but it's still going to fall upon somebody on the board and or your office to be making all the phone calls and sending out all the letters.
Exactly.
So to me, I would have a hard time. I mean, in the past, the election board had a hard time justifying spending $10,000 to $15,000, which is what they did, for somebody that we still end up doing 80% of the work. So if we can't get a what?
That's usually how it is with contractors.
I mean, I think that the past board was hoping that the person that had done it in the past could be contracted to continue doing it in the future. If you're saying that Mr. Lyles has said that that's not an option, then sure, we could ask Karen Steele to go out and, check on what it would cost, but I'm pretty sure it's going to cost a lot more than if we just use the contractor with the person before. Now, if there may be other issues involved, I don't know. Otherwise, for just doing the one, I mean, I'm willing to do the checklist and prepare it, and then we'll just have to review it at our July meeting.
Yes. So
Yes, Debbie, you have a question.
who does, who has in the past reviewed the campaign finance reports? I don't even know.
The board has. Some of it's been hindered because we're meeting by Zoom. We literally used to sit with the campaign fund reports at a table and just review them. And we had a checklist, and it worked pretty well, especially when you're just dealing with, one or two. During the election year, when we did have many more, the election assistant took care of it. And she's created some systems that would certainly help currently as far as letters and all of that. So if we can't have somebody do it this time, since it's one campaign filing, I'd certainly be willing to look at it and use some of the tools that she formulated to put together. It's just, it's just.
And then who does the follow-up when there's a late report?
Well, that's what the election assistant had been doing. And I don't think it, again, maybe there could be a contractor out there that would do it, but that's not what had been done in the past. In the past, when there was an accounting firm, they checked the numbers, and then the board or the city clerk's office still had to do all of the follow-up.
Right, because there's errors, you have to make sure you get it back and that it's right. And then if there's a late report, you have to find them, and then you have to remember to collect the fine, right?
Exactly. Yes, it's a multi-step process.
Right. So I would hesitate paying money to somebody to do that. I mean, we have 700 city staff. There should be somebody on staff or us, if need be, to do that. I mean, I can't believe we're paying money to have a consultant, somebody outside of City Hall do our housekeeping when, like you said, it's not just numbers, it's
right. But you could get a consultant, or if you had, somebody that could do all of it, but I gather that's probably more than what we can do at this point. Regina, is it possible for us to meet in person?
That's a good question, but the boards and commissions are supposed to be meeting virtually per the city manager, because there's a lot of issues. We don't have parking.
I realize.
And
but we have birds.
And the employees take a shuttle back and forth. So
I recognize that, but in the past, when the board has reviewed them, they've reviewed them in person, which makes the process.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, again, just speaking for the past board, we thought it was important that all of the reports go past all of the members' eyes.
Yeah.
So
We can walk in, we'll ride our scooter.
Parking far nearby.
Well,
So that-
I'm
Well-
willing to take a first shot at it if you want. And then probably what we'll have to do, or probably what may need to be done, is other members will need to come in at a separate time and take a look at them and then make notes.
No.
Does that work for you, Regina?
Okay, how about this? How about we check in to see if we get all of the reports to you guys, that you could have one meeting at the rec center, but it couldn't be a continuous thing, because I don't know how we would record your meeting. I don't think they can do it from there. So I'm not sure if that can even happen.
Well, but we've done them with just audio. We've had meetings where we've just recorded audio.
But I don't know what type of audio they have at the rec center.
We've done it with phones even. I mean, I
know
know that's not optimal.
But when you put it on my phone,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to bring it over to my computer.
Rather than, and again, I'm trying to protect the other two people. Let me, if you want, I can go through, if it's all right with the other commission, board members. I'm happy to go through all of them and do the first review. And then we send the checklist. In this, we've done this before. We send the checklist out with the different reports and then the other members look at it. So you're not getting it just, we don't need 3 eyes to figure out if there's some issues. So it's going through the check. I can go in and do the checklist. And then we could add the checklist for review by the other board members. Does that make sense, Regina?
And that's up to you guys. I can find the checklist and make sure that we have
It's
them.
the checklist, and then it's the letters that she put together so that we could send what we try to do is to just have standardized letters that got emailed out.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I mean,
So that would then be a motion to select you as our member to review these, or would we just?
I don't know, do
is
we
there?
need- I don't
Well,
know.
at least since it'll be an action, because we have to, Debbie and myself and you, we have to agree that you would be the first person, if that's what why it's on our agenda today, to discuss it and see what our movement is next, right?
Okay,
Madam Clerk. Okay, so is there a motion then to select Eileen to review the first look, take a first look at our campaign fund reports to then send to the remaining members, us, myself and Debbie, the checklist to finalize the reports?
Well, I still think there should be a way for the 3 of us to meet, during the day. We can all meet late after, in the afternoon. I don't know. There just seems like we should just be able to hash it out, have those reports. It's going to be a lighter load. One is mine. It's perfect. What Keanu has one. I don't know. It seems silly that
but we could still do, I mean, I could still do the first go pass and do the checklists, and then we could still review it at our next meeting. I guess we could just have copies in front of all of us, but then it would be discussed, and then it's discussed, certainly in the public forum.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we all need, if we were all together, we could look at one copy and pass it around. We don't need to have.
You still want to have an initial audit because there's stuff that you'll just know right away.
Yeah.
And
So are you?
But I don't want to hire people. I don't want to pay money to do this job. It seems like there should be, if not us, then somebody on city staff.
Well, I move that when they come in, I will meet. I can meet with Regina and do a first audit of all of the campaign fund reports and prepare them for review by all 3 of us. No actions will be taken. It's just a
Sure.
review, so
Okay.
that when it comes to the full committee or the full board, we can look at it and say, okay, this one's complete. Great. We all agree it's complete. This one needs this. So then you're looking at what the deficiencies are and then double checking that there aren't additional deficiencies and that those deficiencies need to be acted on.
Okay. All right. I second the motion then.
Okay, I have a question before we vote on that motion. Regina, are you able to also check in with the others to see when if at all, we would be able to meet in person at any point in time?
I will definitely send an email to the city manager. Actually, the city manager is going to be changing soon. Mike Malinoff is going to be nominated city manager. So I can reach out to both of them tomorrow to ask them if you could have a meeting for the purpose of reviewing the campaign fund reports. But I still think it would be a good idea if Eileen, since she's done it before, went through and did the checklist. It would save a lot of time.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so there's a second. All in favor of the motion put forth by Eileen that you would do the first review of our campaign fund reports for us to then have a follow-up meeting to finalize those reports. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay, well,
So-
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
So
please.
are you guys going to designate a member to be the member to be the ex officio for the committee? Are you going to vote on that?
Well, could we vote on that at the special meeting that we do the final review of the
You sure
just to
can?
give, okay.
Okay.
So then at our next meeting, please, everyone, we're going to select our person to be the ex officio member. That's obviously going to be either Eileen or Debbie. I know we've talked that Eileen would most likely be that person, so
Right,
we can
yes.
finalize that. So we can finalize that
Mhm.
at our meeting where we review our final version of the resolution.
Okay.
So that would be perfect. Now, I know we added for C, we added the follow-up discussion from what Debbie had shared at the last meeting. So please feel free, Debbie and Eileen, and I know Eileen, you wanted to share some updates for Debbie, so please feel free. Let's get that done.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to, because I said I would follow up, and I think Debbie has gotten some of this. The questions about the numbers on turnout, again, I reviewed them, and what I expressed at the last meeting did indeed was consistent, that, the total number of ballots that were sent out were 24,792. I confirmed that with the county. That's who is eligible to vote. The number of registered voters that was in that turnout report that Debbie cited, that number was 27,628. That was as of November 9th, 2021. The number of ballots that went out were based on the number of registered voters who were also eligible to vote as of October 5th. So there's a whole month difference in there. And also, sometimes people are not eligible to vote either because of age, or they registered too late after the deadline, or they might have been put on an inactive status if they've, sometimes people will do that. So the reasons that were given, my initial reasons for why there was, two different numbers, when I did check with the State Board of Elections, were consistent. I also just noted that, and this is for general public information also, that the County Board of Elections, they calculate their turnout report based on the number of, they divide the number of ballots received, canvassed, and accepted by the total registered voters. The city calculates it by taking the number of ballots received, canvassed, and accepted in the election divided by the number of eligible registered voters, which is why the city has reported a 40.2% turnout rate. So those are why the numbers are different.
Right.
Okay.
So for the next election, this is what confuses, people, because the press is saying one thing and the website is saying another, and the city has something and the county has something. And
the county and the city were consistent. We're consistent with what the numbers for the city were. And that's why I wanted to bring it up in an open meeting, because I think that the public doesn't understand that different numbers come from different sources.
right.
And it depends not just on where you're getting it, but what day you're getting it, because it's a constant change. And these were questions that had been asked previously, and also that information was given. So
is our city voter, what is our city, and I know it fluctuates, but is the 27,000 number the city number?
you would have to find out from the Board of Elections what their number is today.
Yeah.
And again, there's a difference between registered voters and eligible
Eligible voters.
registered
Yep.
voters. There's a difference. So that number is going to change. I know that you had also, you had mentioned that later on you had mentioned asking about something that was published in the paper.
Yes.
All I know is what the state, what our official count was, and that's what's on the website. The
Yeah.
official count was there. You go by that. I know there's been others, questions that were about ballots. If anybody ever gets a ballot that they don't think they should have, you contact the State Board of Elections. One of the things we try to do with our communications plan in the last election was it is a person's civic responsibility to report anytime they move. So if someone says, oh, I have 4 kids at home who are still getting ballots, my response would be, if that were my child, I would say your civic responsibility is to notify the City Board of Elections and tell them that you're no longer living here. There are 31 states and the District of Columbia that belong to the something called ERIC, which is the election register. I have it written down somewhere. The Electronic Registration Information Center, which Maryland is a part of. So if someone registers to be with the MVA or registers to vote in any one of those 32 localities, that will be reported back to Maryland. So that information is constantly updated and changed. And that also is something that falls into why the numbers change from day to day in terms of registered voters. The State Board of Elections receives biweekly reports from those from that organization. It's a nonpartisan nonprofit organization. And it shows, this is from the website, voters who have moved within their state, voters who have moved out of state, voters who have died, duplicate registrations in the same state, and individuals who are potentially eligible to vote but have not yet registered. So these sorts of things get reported. We did not get any feedback that anybody who died or was in another state received a ballot. If someone were to tell me I live in Massachusetts and I got a ballot, then I would ask to see it and I would, send it. Again, in our communication plan that we sent out and our information packets we sent out to the public, we said, if you at your address receive something that for somebody that doesn't live there, put it back in the mail and say, addressee not known. The type of mailing that we used for the post office was, let me get it so that I'm complete. This is one of our checks and balances too, which is why if someone outside of Maryland moved, the type of mail-in ballots, they were sent something called return service requested. So that means the mailing is returned to the sender with either a new address or a notice of non-delivery. It is not forwarded. So again, if someone says, I live in Massachusetts and I received a ballot, I would have to question that or ask for more information because the post office is not supposed to send it, not supposed to forward it. So there were a lot of checks and balances that were used with the mail and in the last election. And so having these questions is really valuable just to get the answers out and to get the appropriate information. But I think we as a board can really help by encouraging people to go to the county website, learn about the elections. If they have a question, ask the question to get an answer, because unfortunately, a lot of rumors get put out there.
Yeah, I did hear of people out of state getting a mailing. So, I don't know. If it was a ballot or an application or
they may have gotten a voter registration card if they haven't notified that, but that didn't mean they get a ballot.
Right.
Because it's a different type of mailing.
Of the data from this group, who in the city, is it Regina who looks at this data, or who tracks the data?
The county.
Or nobody? Is it just the county?
The county's Board of Elections.
Just the
receives all
county.
of this information.
Okay.
So Maryland is considered a pretty clean state for keeping its rolls pretty clean.
Now,
if you're living in a state that isn't part of that, then that's going to be harder for the information to come back.
Right. Now, for getting off the rolls, I know that we had daughters getting the mailings, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I tried to get them off the rolls and I couldn't. And then, the daughters were out of state, but they couldn't do it by email. They couldn't do it by phone. So not, the parents can't do it. The kids
do it
can't do
online.
it by email or phone.
You
I
can-
was told you have to do it in a written letter through the post office. And that's how I got 2 of the 3 off, but I still have 1 on. Is that still what we have to do, Regina? Does it have to be done in writing in the mail?
I think it's a document on the county's
It's
website.
on the website. It's online. You just
It's on
have
the
to,
website. You just have to complete it.
So it could be done just online
Yeah.
on the county website, the county
Or
board
County
of
Board
Elections.
of Elections website. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because even with the legislature, we get, complaints from parents saying, I'm trying to get my kids off the ballot, I can't get them off. So.
Well, because they have to do it themselves.
Well, the child does, yeah. And I mean, it'd be nice if the parents could, because the kids are grown and gone and want no part of it. So why can't a parent take them off?
Because they're over 18.
Over 18.
Same reason you can't get their college grades.
If you do it online, how do they know who's doing it?
You take
They
an
know.
oath.
Mhm.
Oh,
Gotta
Okay.
certify.
And
So-
it, and it has to be signed, I think. So basically, they have signature matches at the county when you do things.
So,
signing online is kind of awkward, though.
right. But that would be great to get that information out. We can certainly move, forward with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay. Does that answer pretty much all your questions, Debbie?
I think so. Thank you.
Because I know you're probably getting questions from others too.
Well, I mean, I've tracked elections for a long time here, and when I give out information, I like to give out the right numbers. And so then if I see something in the paper and something online, and I know there should be a little bit, but and then now I have this big job, and I just wanted to see if I was missing something.
You do realize that voter rolls change daily until the deadline.
Right, for a little bit, but I was a couple thousand different, not a couple hundred different.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and one was the report, one was what the newspaper said, and then what the city website said, and what the county website said, but it's good. I mean,
Well,
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
I certainly wouldn't take what's listed in the paper as
Right.
my number,
Yeah.
even though
And-
the Capitol has been pretty good about checking. I never, as the chair, I never spoke to that reporter, so I don't know where she got that number from.
but I do like the articles you sent out, Eileen, from Brianna Coffee. I think those
Right.
articles from that, because it was working with the media and it was being transparent. And I mean, I think part of our job is education, right? Educating
Right.
the voters, educating the press. And I'm all for anything we can do to be transparent and let people know where to find information or how the information is collected.
Right. Well, and that's how we worked with we had a PR plan and a communications plan that was implemented in the
Mhm.
last election and worked. We had a lot of things out on social media. We even had information posted on buses.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if in doubt, I always tell people, go to the website, make a phone call, and you'll get your information. So, and that's just bringing up 1.2. I think one of the things for us as board members to realize in talking, if the press does contact you, that we should be contacting Mitchell Stevenson in the city office. We should
Yeah,
not.
we don't talk to the press. I don't, when they call my office, I refer them straight to Mitchell.
Right.
I don't speak to the.
So anytime I spoke to them, it was I was in contact with Mitchell.
Yes.
So,
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, please. I know the state site's also very helpful when it comes to voting updates and things like that. But we are finished there. I know that we're heading to adjournment and there's nothing else on our agenda. Thank you, Eileen, as well. I know it's what it sounds here. You've really, I know that it was a hefty lift. So we appreciate you for the work that you did in our past election and making sure there was so much accuracy. And as well as you, Madam Clerk, and you, Ashley. Thank you, all 3 of you, for that, the work you did in the previous election. So is there a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:17 PM.
Okay, is there a second to adjourn this meeting at 8:17 p.m.? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Everyone have a blessed one. Good night.